Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is the 5th of March and this video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended during this. Today I will start to talk about S&P 500 and the bigger picture. Here we have S&P 500, the monthly chart. So that means that every single candle here represents 1 month of trading, going back to the past 20 years. And here we had the bottom or the peak down here after the financial crisis. That was actually the financial crisis we saw right there. And also I have to say this is a logarithmic chart. As you can see, I have added the logarithmic chart that gives a better indication, a better view of how a market has developed. So we have basically been trading in an uptrend, a very broad, but yes, a rising channel here for the better part of the 20 years, going back to 2009 here where we saw the trough. I added two horizontal lines up here because we actually peaked a little bit, but the broader one is the upper one and then the lower one here. So what is also key towards, and I think I'll just add a horizontal line to it. So what is key towards is this level here and this level here down here. So zooming in, 6,147. We have a slightly different level on the short term, but it's not that much. We'll look at that in a minute. But we can see here it is quite stretched. There's nothing that really says, okay, we should push higher. And look at when I also do this, we have massive divergence. We have had that for a very long time. You can see the RSI been declining for the past, well, 8 years or so, actually since 2018, but market still moved higher. Still positive sentiment though, so that is also key towards if it can break back above the falling trend line there, maybe then we will see the uptrend resuming. I'm not calling a top just yet because I don't have a top and reversal pattern in place just yet. There are just some warning signs really. So we have 6,147 the peak there, and then we have the crucial 4,818 if this one is taken out. Again, this is the bigger picture. This is not something that will play out tomorrow or next week or next month for them. Maybe not even this year. It's just to illustrate what's going on. And sometimes we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What I can also do, I can draw a trend line, a very short trend line from here. You can see then we have an even tighter or more narrow channel that we are trading in that crosses those two levels, and then you can see this one is still really key. So we could still see a setback, a massive setback, no question about it, but we only have to go back 1 year where we were at these levels there. So what could happen again? I don't know just yet. It's just to illustrate what's the overall picture on S&P 500. Moving on to the daily part of S&P 500. Well, we have 6,720. That is a key support. We have 6,534. So now we are down to the daily chart. That is, of course, looks a little bit different, but this is where we are trading at the moment. We dipped below the other day, managed to close back above, and yesterday we had a fairly good day, 0.8% higher. So still it keep itself afloat in this sideways range trading, but again, we need to be cautious and think about what's going on here because we have falling tops or declining peaks there, and that is not a good sign. So we need to take out those levels up here from a couple of weeks ago, 6,953, to re-establish the bullish trend. Pre-market, if it will come up here, there we are, more or less the same picture we saw the future a couple of days ago, dip into 6,720. So that's a massive level to watch out for. and it also needs to get back, of course, back above the cloud and take out 6,971, that peak up there. Nasdaq is a little bit different. It is basically in a bearish trend, but the key support, 24,500, is a key, massive key support there. And maybe we should have a look at the monthly there also. We can see there the monthly chart. It's really also quite stretched, as we can see. If we take the RSI again, you can see how the RSI values have been declining. And in fact, if you can go all the way back here, that was even higher. So also since 2018, we have been in a stretched uptrend. But again, trust the trend. It's not about looking too much at it. It's just a warning sign that you know, we are stretched there, and we could move higher, but again, it is a little bit stretched. I need some new signals to call a new peak, and we need, for Nasdaq, we need to get it back above the cloud. We need to get it back above at least the 25,500. What we can do, we can draw a horizontal line there, so we have a little bit 25,383. That would be the bare minimum to get it back above the moving average. That could indicate we will resume uptrend. Pre-market just a tad lower there, and again here we have 25,465 on the future. That is key. The Dow Jones index, also sideways range trading. Short term, you see lower low, lower high, lower low, and bounced strongly from 47,800, which is a very key support level that should be observed. The small cap index really dipped again below the support, but managed to close back above, so also in a neutral position there. Moving on to the Asian market and Hang Seng. Well, it's still under water, so to speak. Yes, it closed a little bit higher than the previous day. It doesn't look like it, but actually did. But we are actually in a bearish trend, negative sentiment. But maybe this 25,145 can hold. Yes, it dipped below a couple the day before, yesterday it was, sorry. So we could maybe see a further bounce, depending on what's going on in the world, depending on what's going on with Nikkei and the other market. Obviously, I think it's a little bit controlled by that. But we can see here the 100 and the 55 moving averages are turning around now. So don't expect a bullish trend anytime soon to resume. It needs to get back above the cloud at least, and preferably above 27,000. For now, the pressure is to the downside. Nikkei this morning a little bit lower here on the Nikkei, but it didn't take out these spikes down there, and that will be key. So the 55 moving average seems to be really key supports. What we can also do, we can add a horizontal line down here. There's a little bit of support, but if it takes out these two lows there, well, then I think we'll be looking down in the region around 51,800 and 51,000 level down here, and the lower part of cloud. So also under pressure quite a bit there for the Nikkei. European market yesterday, EuroStoxx50 bounced quite nicely from 5,766 support after dipping below, and the lower part of cloud. You can see how significant that lower part of cloud is there, and the RSI actually in a negative sentiment. So we have turned around on this bullish trend there, and is close to not re-establish, but establish a bearish trend. I think we could bounce a little bit further. However, look at what's going on pre-market. So we're a little bit under pressure. And the longer it drags out in the Middle East and with Iran, it can drag on stocks. Not so much because stocks are afraid of the war, because that's not necessarily a bad thing for stocks as such. It is because there is so much other stuff involved, like trade, like oil, like air travel and everything in this conflict. that were not there in the Ukraine war, unfortunately. So we have this EuroStoxx50 pre-market setting back again and could test these lows here and the lower part of the cloud. So that I think would be key to watch towards the end of the weekend. Will it push lower and down to 5,666? That could be key. DAX index also bounced yesterday, but here pre-market we are a little bit lower, and it actually did close below the cloud a couple of days ago, and it's currently trading below the cloud. So DAX also under massive pressure also today. Moving on to the FX market and euro dollar, that is actually interestingly more calm after massive moves a couple of days ago or earlier this week and late last week. So we have euro dollar taking it easy here the past few days, just above 115.65 after dipping below the rising trend line and the support there. And we could bounce a little bit further, but let's see about that. However, if it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago at 115.30, well, then we could be looking at 114 level. That goes a little bit further back, as we can see here at this these lows here, these troughs here, and we could be revisiting at that level. Sterling dollar coming up here. That has been finding some support here at 133. Yes, it dipped below. It is still under pressure. You can see all the moving averages are turning around. So we could see further downside potential down to 132, 131, 60 area maybe. But be aware, there could be corrections up to test the falling trend line here. But for now, it seems like we are just taking a little bit of a breather. But I think if we take out the past few days lows here, both today and yesterday here at 133, then we will also see a challenge of this low, and then we could see it down in this region here. Euro sterling, this frustrating currency pair at the moment, and the reason for this is that you have the 200 moving average rising, you have the 100 flat, and you have the 55 moving average declining. So there's a clash between the shorter to medium and the medium to longer term trends, and that's why you see this volatility without clear direction. You can argue, however, we are slightly bullish on it, and if we add some trend lines to it, then we can see how it actually is slightly rising behavior here, a little bit higher here, higher low there than here, higher high here than here, and a higher low again than here. So we are in a slightly but volatile and messy bullish trend, and therefore it's not that strong. But that what is the picture at the moment? Sometimes it's not that clear. We have the dollar yen setting back a little bit from that peak up there. If it takes out 158, well, then we are looking at 159 plus 160 a level on dollar yen. But there's still potential to a little bit of more setback. However, we are in a positive sentiment, so the trend and the sentiment is bullish. On euro yen, 61.8 retracement seems to be the key area here at 182.30. I still think we will see it setting back further. We have negative sentiment on the RSI. RSI got rejected at 60 threshold, so I think we could see 181.65 being tested there. That's the 786 retracement and the 100 moving average, and then we could see another bounce. If it takes out 180.75 here, well, then I think we'll see it pushing lower in the region around 179, 178 possibly. Aussie yen coming up here, still in an elevated and in a bullish trend, and not much to say about that really. Above the rising trend line, still a warning sign that it is in exhaustion mode. Sterling yen trading around this 61.8 retracement there at 209. I think we could see it dipping down to 208 and a quarter at the 786 retracement that you also have here, similar to the Euro Yen, where the 100 moving average coming up and giving some support, and then probably bounce. But also here we have negative sentiment, so there is a risk that it could dip lower. If it takes out 207, well, 207, then we could be looking at 205. Aussie dollar dipping again below this 70 level, but there was no traction, strong bounce again. So doesn't mean maybe it will resume uptrend. Well, I am the kind of guy that wants to have confirmation, so it needs to take out 71.50 here to re-establish the bullish trend. For now, it's just a lot of noise, a lot of volatility. However, if it takes out the lows from yesterday, it's probably also going to take out the low here from the 3rd of March at 69.40, 45, and then we could be looking at 69 and a little bit stronger support down here. Dollar Canada. Also a lot of noise here, spiking above, spiking below there. The key is, I think if it takes out the lows there at the 2nd of March at 136, then I think it will also take out the 135.85 support there and possibly push lower. For really to re-establish a bullish trend, it needs to get much higher, it needs to get back, it needs to get above 138. But first sign of that to play out could to take out that spike up there at 137.55. That could trigger a bullish trend, but for now it doesn't really seem like that's where we're headed at the moment. The sterling Canada still trading around this 182, trying to find its feet. It's just with the still negative sentiment, the bearish push. However, I think we're stretched a little bit. I think we will see a bounce, but it's just a question about how deep will it go before that is playing out. You can see there's actually nothing supporting it until down around the level of 180 in this region here. So there is potential, but I don't think we'll see sudden drop down to that. I think before we get there, we will see a correction up to around 183 and a bit higher, really. Swiss franc slowly sliding lower and could test the lows here. But the interesting thing is in European session, it seems like they want to trade a little bit higher, but they never managed to stay afloat, and then the slides continues to slide lower, and we can see here on the monthly chart it's basically just sliding lower and lower. So there is still strength going on in the with the Swiss franc. But it is also in exhaustion mode. You can see that the RSI is rising. However, we can also see that it's actually broken below its rising trend lines, and that could indicate a new low on Euro Swiss. So a very strong Swiss franc there indeed. The dollar Swiss, yes, it spiked above, which we talked about, to the 61.8 retracement there, but it stayed still below 78.20 resistance area. That seems to be quite strong. We'll have another go. It spiked again yesterday, but it failed to follow through. If it takes out that peak up there at 78.80, then we could see a push up to 79.5, possibly up to the 80 level area. But then we have the 200 moving average coming down, we have the 100, that could be put a little bit lid on it. So let's see. I think if we take out the past couple of days lows here, well, then the downtrend is to get back in business, but for now we're on a knife's edge, really. The dollar index is also pausing a little bit, but you can see here positive sentiment. We are actually in a bullish trend, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher low. You see, so we are actually in a bullish trend. We can actually draw a trend line. I think we can try to draw a trend line, and that sometimes helps us a little bit. There we go. We actually have a trend line going on there. So as long as it stays above that and keeps going higher, well, then there's potentially in the cards up to around 100.35, the peak there. So that was a bit of a change of events, and you can also see 55 moving average turned around. But so for now we are in a bullish trend, and it could have another push higher. Moving on to metals, and of course we still start. We were starting with gold spot that has bounced off the 786 retracement, just above it, just above 5,000. I think they dipped just a little bit below, trying to re-establish the bullish. Well, it's never been broken, but it's just a massive correction we saw there. Positive sentiment on the other side. There's no divergence, so indicating likely higher levels in gold. And I think we will get it eventually. It will just take a little bit of a time. And for now, it's really a little bit under pressure at the moment. And what I will do, I slide in this. This is the daily chart, just to show you. Sometimes you can get a little bit of guidance on the daily chart. So what do we have here? This is the intraday chart, 1 hour chart. And you can see this massive sell-off we saw here on the 3rd, and then it's just trying to bounce back. And it needs to get back above 5,200, and the moving averages, especially 55, needs to be turned around, and it will take a little bit of a time because it's actually declining here. The 100 coming down a little bit, the 200 moving average are coming up. So if you're looking at the weekly chart, the intraday chart and the 1 hour chart, it also needs to get back above 60 threshold on the 1 hour, and then that could be the first sign of the bullish trend to resume. You can also see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a nice 5 wave down, and then you have slowly trying to build a bullish trend. And what I will do, if I add horizontal line to it there, you can see 5,206 seems to be a key level, and I think we can get a push up there, then we could get more traction to it. Let's go back to the daily chart. So that's where we are at the moment. If it takes out the lows there from the 3rd of March at 4,995, well, then we could suddenly be looking at 48.50. Silver, that has also been hit hard here the other day, trying to regain its grounds. Actually closed a little bit below the cloud there, but positive sentiment is still there. But it needs to close it back above 60 threshold to really further confirm that that the bullish trend will prevail. That could be good or bad. If it takes out the lows there from also the 3rd of March at 77.95, well, then we could suddenly be looking at the levels down here at 70 again. Platinum, that have also been extremely volatile of late, dipped below the 61.8 retracement, then bounced and could bounce further. I think if it takes out the peak from today that spiked up there 22.20, then we could see uptrend resuming. For now, we're actually below the cloud, so it's not that strong bullish trend. So let's see about that. The copper future, still above the rising trend line, dipped to tested, but it's still these 611, 614 that needs to be taken out with a close to really establish a bullish trend. Moving on to crude oil, and this is of course what is key also at the moment, given the fact what's going on in the Middle East with in Iran and their oil reserves and everything. I still think we'll see crude oil crawling higher towards 80 level here towards the end of the week. But again, be careful. It is volatile time, and new events could suddenly send it the other way. So let's see about what's going on. We, of course, everybody hope that it will the war will end soon with happy results for most people, for the Iranian people, obviously. Brent crude oil also pushing higher, tested $85 here a couple of days ago, and this is the weekly chart we're looking at. There's potential up to 88, possibly up to the 90 region on Brent crude oil. European NatGas, that has really, of course, also been massively inflicted due to the fact that Europe is buying a lot of natural gas from Qatar, which is in that region. Also buying a lot of gas from Russia still, unfortunately, but that's where we are. See extreme volatility, spiked up to above 65, then sat back, and then bounced strongly again. And it has just started trading here this morning in this region here. So it's really extremely volatile. And if you're a very short-term trader, well, I'm not trading NatGas at all. It is too feisty for me. Well, let's have a look at the 1 hour chart. You can see what's going on here also a little bit. extremely volatile, opening a little bit higher. If it takes out these lows here, just below 47, just 45, 55, well, then we could see further setback. But for now, we are still in elevated states, and we could see a NatGas pushing higher. The Euros NatGas, on the other hand, is not really much affected. It is just trading just around the $3, a little bit below $3, and I don't expect that to be affected to any extent at all. Could crawl up to 340, maybe 350, 360, but then we have the 55 moving average coming down, kind of putting a lid on it. Moving on to the treasury yields, we talked about yesterday, they could spike up to the 61.8 retracement there at 414, and it is actually quite close to it, and I think it will touch it. And I also think we could see the RSI maybe touching the 60 threshold. That will be key. Will it close above or not? If it's being rejected, we are still negative sentiment. It could turn around here on the daily chart. The European yields also very volatile. Here we have the EU 10-year and spiked up to just above the 61.8 retracement of this sell-off there, or this drop there. And it is still, then it's set back a little bit, but now it's having another go. And if it pushes above the peak there, 280, then I think, and let's just add that is missing, sorry about that, then there's potential up to 285. UK 10 also spiked above its 786 retracement there. It is the 460, 461. That is key resistance. Let's just have 460. That is key resistance. Let's see if we'll do that or will it slide back. The Japanese 10 really not doing much, just trading sideways here between 204 and 215. Bitcoin is slowly crawling higher the past couple of days to the 38.2 retracement there at 74,500. But then we have 55 moving average coming down there. We have still negative sentiment on the RSI. So next days could also be a little bit crucial. Will it set back or will it actually manage to crawl higher? Ethereum, same picture, really trying to get up to the 38.2 retracement there at 2,377. But it's still key support there at 1740. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.